Episode 4 of The Ancient Magus' Bride was another fun episode. Now, this episode didn't wow me as much as past episodes, but I'm still really enjoying just the characters and these little adventures that our two main characters are going on. But one thing I really appreciate with this series is how hand-drawn everything is. Last week we had the dragons, which I saw some people criticize as not looking that great and they weren't as detailed as, say, episode 1, but they hand-drew all of that, which many studios wouldn't do. And even with this episode, even though they're just cats, and you could say, oh, I mean, every studio would draw cats, a lot of people would take quite a few of these shots within this episode and just CGI them in because it's quicker to do and more time efficient. And I really appreciate just how detailed this world is and how believable. It's very traditional anime style, and I just love it. Even when it does get a little more sloppy, I appreciate the time and effort that they're putting into all of these shots, and it makes the series something quite magical. Now, essentially, this episode can be summed down to as Chise and Elias go to this town on their, quote-unquote second honeymoon, and basically they go to this kind of like kingdom of the cats here, and we get to talk to a bunch of different cats. And then we see that there's some menacing forces at work. We get a bit of backstory with this girl and her boyfriend or fiance, whoever that was, and what he ultimately became, this like monster demon thing that just keeps getting kind of sealed away, kind of like putting a band-aid over a cut that's not properly healing. So essentially it's up to them to fully take this out, and Elias wants Chise to polish this beast of a creature here, because it's kind of a test, also will give her a bit of learning experience, and also he thinks that she can. And the thing that I really liked with the episode is how they portrayed the cats, because animals, obviously we can't speak with animals, we can't, understand fully what they're thinking, but animals definitely have their own personality. There's as much variety in animals' personalities as there are with humans, and cats can be very kind of like aggressive, kind of disobedient, very calm, cool, and collected. Like, cats have a wide variety of personalities. And we got introduced to a few different cats, like the king of this, and it's this very fluffy and very kind of, it's just this proud-looking cat, and immediately when you saw the character design, you knew that this would be the king of the cats because of just how it looked. And then there was this kind of more kind of like tomfoolery cat, which was jumping on Chise, and had this more kind of like prankster personality. And I felt like the designs that they put for each of these cats, it really matched their personality. Like, the designs perfectly match what I thought that they acted like. Because I feel like a lot of times when you look at a cat, you can almost get the idea of how that cat's going to act. Obviously not always, but more times than not, I feel like when you see a cat, just after a short look or a quick interaction, you understand the personality, if it's a more calm cat, maybe a lap cat. And I just appreciated how much time it felt like they put into the designs that made it feel right for the personality that each of these cats have. And I just like that. I feel like there's a lot of charm and a lot of time put into this and a lot of thought that a lot of people might overlook little things like that, which I really appreciated. I think one thing that a lot of people I have seen, like, it's not a big thing, but I have seen some people saying, like, Elias's relationship with Chise is a little weird, like, how it seems like it's weird that he's, like, already wanting to marry her and this whole honeymoon thing. But after this episode, it really doesn't feel like Elias is actually understanding what marriage is or honeymoon's like. How do you go on a second honeymoon right after? Like, it definitely feels like, I mean, just from his look to everything and how he's acting, I think he doesn't truly understand what marriage and a honeymoon is. And he doesn't understand humans. Like, he's still learning what humans are, and based on how this episode ends with the sorcerer kind of calling him out and saying, like, oh, you're just using her for your own, pleasure, and also she could possibly die, I don't think all those words were, like, necessarily lies. Like, I feel like he's definitely using Chise in the way that he wants to basically understand what humans are and how humans interact, learn more about humans, because I feel like he calls her his puppy, and I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I think he might actually think of Chise as a pet, like someone that he wants to train to be a great mage, but also he's this giant Skeletor-like creature, and I wouldn't be surprised if he actually thinks Chise is a dog to him, the same way humans would look at a dog. You can love and care for a dog, but it's still a dog, and I think he's using her in that way to get to know humans a bit more. But I wouldn't be surprised if the series did go the route of eventually both of them maybe having affection and love for one another down the line, but I definitely feel like he is technically using her for his own pleasure of learning what humans are, but also kind of treating her like a pet, which isn't the worst thing when you look at him. It's not like it's a human-on-human interaction here, so that would make sense to me, but I don't think he actually fully understands, like, terms like marriage and honeymoon, and if anything, he's just being playful with it, because I don't think he actually loves her. I think he might have affection in the sense of, like, he doesn't want to see her get hurt, but it's more of just, like, an ownership kind of protection, and that's how I personally feel. Granted, I could be completely wrong, but that's how I've been interpreting their relationship, but I could definitely see down the line the two of them maybe having some sort of affection, and things like that. Now, I'm sure some people might say, oh, this is the second episode in a row that Chisei is getting abducted, quote unquote there. However, I think this is actually good for an early stage because Chisei is still kind of learning about her new life, and I think these might be life lessons that our main character Elias is kind of putting her in willingly. Like, there's these situations that it definitely feels like a lot of times he's not being as protective as he usually is, and I just think it's more or less just a life lessons. Like with episode 1, when those like little fairy things were trying to drag her off, he let her get very close and overcome that herself so that she would be able to grow. And I feel like a lot of this is just for her to learn she can get stronger with her abilities and also not have to kind of depend on him. So I think that's interesting, but overall this was a fun episode. Not a whole lot to dive in past that. I like the cats and how their personalities match with their character designs quite well, and also the whole marriage stuff and the honeymoon stuff. I definitely think that is just him not understanding the terms that humans are using and essentially using Chisei for his own pleasure of learning what humans are, but I definitely don't think he hates her or is just using her to get her killed. I think he definitely wants to keep her alive the same way we would want to keep our pets alive. That's how I'm interpreting it, but let me know your thoughts. What do you think of episode 4, and how excited are you for episode 5 next week? Let me know your thoughts, and before you leave, smack that like button, share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.